How is it different since each of your separate departures from Mothership, getting back into these characters' skin, getting back into the relationship between the two of them? Because you two left the show at different times. You actually both returned to the show for separate appearances. Now coming back together for this show that's literally titled after your characters. What was the actors' preparation for that?
Michael and I did a lot of talking during the pandemic.
Yeah.
A lot. And we talked about life, and we talked about, obviously, the idea of potentially working together. And I remember one time he said, well, what if we get to do this? And do you think we'll have the thing that we had? Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, well, you can't guarantee that it's going to be what it was. You can only guarantee what it will be. Meaning, you and I have a relationship, and it's a friendship. And obviously the characters have gone through a lot, and the characters have gone through life, and all of these things that, make them even more complex. But what the result is, or how that essentially played out in season 1, that we didn't know. And in that one scene, the first scene, we sort of looked at each other, and at one point we finished the scene sort of looking at each other, and we both took a step towards each other. And it was at that moment when we kind of locked eyes. I was like, oh yeah. It was kind of romantic.
First shot of day 1 of film.
Yeah, and it was also really amazing getting, so I've known John for 30 years.
31.
31 years. And,
but who's counting?
My doctor.
That's why I married one.
Good appointment next week.
So, tell that story about how the three of us sort of came to be the three little bears that no one could blow our little house down.
Well, there's one imp that I'm going to save for later for very good reasons that you'll see. But it was an instant yes from me when Michael asked me, hey, what about Tony and Ziva? And I recall having watched the show that they were in Paris. So, Europe, that's interesting. What kind of story would be fun? How about a story where they get framed for a crime and go on the run through every single country in Europe? And who would be dumb enough to pay for that? Paramount Plus.
The people who brought you South Park. That's a different bowl of money that goes for it.
No, but it was. Look, Michael and I share a lot of espionage movies and Hitchcock movies and thrillers, and we sort of pulled Cody into our sickness. And I think she saw the potential, less for like classic espionage, but more for, wait, this is also a family, so we have a daughter. So you put these characters in jeopardy, and what you're putting in jeopardy is this daughter that they've raised very well. How will this affect the relationship with her? How will it affect her psychologically? Somebody that had stakes. We were all on these Zooms getting really excited about it. I was excited about like, ooh, what's the MacGuffin and the thing that was after? Michael was probably like, I'm gonna have to get a trainer. And Cody's like, there's actual, legitimate emotional stakes. So all of us kind of got what we wanted. And from day one, it was a total collaboration. I would occasionally go off, when the studio agreed to pay for the script, and I would go off. I would check in every 10 pages and just be like, hey, I had this idea that in our show, NCIS doesn't stand for Naval Criminal Investigation Service. And what does it stand for? And I'm like, I can't tell you. It's a twist.
It's a pretty cool.
And I realized we were going to all be on the exact same page. We both went, yes. And we just proceeded, we put our heads down and we worked. We just worked.
And I did 13 years of the Mothership, and I kept thinking, when am I going to get tired of this? Because 13 years of one character for a long time. But I got to, thinking about it, I got to do an action guy. I got to do a romantic guy. I got to do a comedic guy. I got to do a dramatic guy. I had every possible, pizza combination, like pineapple. So I had Hawaiian pizza. And that is kind of what this show, what I was thinking about when I was thinking about Johnny and Ziva. It's like, it's a romaction techno thriller.
I don't think I've heard it before. It's good.
Well, speaking of which, you guys got to film everywhere in Europe. I got to see the first 3 episodes. You guys should watch it. It's really good.
Why haven't you watched it yet?
You should check it out. It's fantastic. I want NCIS to go to Italy so badly. I mean, it's incredible. What was it like filming after filming however many years combined between the two of you on NCIS? What was it like going from country to country to country instead of going to Santa Clarita and then Santa Clarita and then Santa Clarita every day? Because I feel like it would be different. But I want to know, in your words, how.
There was a lot more jet lag. But I'll just quote Michael and then shut up. Michael said when we were wrapping, we'd been shooting in Europe, I think, from July till February. And on the last night of filming, I mean night, like 4 in the morning in Budapest in February, Michael came over to me to say goodbye because I was getting in the plane, and he said, "This is the greatest adventure of my life." And I said, "I'm going home."
I was ready to start season 2.
Oh man,
Come on.
He's not kidding. What was it like for you, Cody? Because you've shot in Europe before.
Yes, but going back to the greatest adventure of my life, I have to say that there are moments that I would look at Michael in the middle of the scene, and I think he and I were sort of in the same wavelength, where we almost had to pitch, like, because it was something that we really, like I said, manifested. And we thought about it and we talked about it incessantly, and we had these questions and we wanted to answer them. Like we had questions about where they were, like what's going on with them, what's going on with the daughter, how are they relating, and we got to answer a lot of that. And also we got to play. And what you guys don't know is that on the mothership, and you know this because you were there, we all played. We were allowed to be childlike. And of course we were pros, we would come in and, but we found this sense of fun that was really wonderful. And what we got to do, again, in Europe, on Tony and Ziva, was we had a chance to play. And it was very emotional, to be fair, because you're going back and you're playing with somebody that you have that chemistry with, Like children, it's like when I watch my kid play and I see him just so in the moment and so happy. That's kind of how I felt. And I know that Michael felt the same.
What is the origin of that?
Mark Harmon.
This is his sign language thing from an episode.
That was such a great moment.
I was watching the dailies and you guys did that.
Yeah.
And I was cracked up
It was a tribute to Gibbs. Yes, and I think we were almost in the school, right? And there was a camera and he was sort of communicating with us.
Yeah.
He was like doing this.
On it, boss.
He felt that no one was watching it. And so since that moment, every single time, and we could be anywhere in the world. And I'll see it and I'll just go.
And now that we're everyone in this room, you and I are going to be, in a public bathroom somewhere.
Someone's going to go.
Someone's going to.
Here's how plugged in I am. I'm just putting this live on TV.
All right, so we only have the two of you here, which is more than enough, but I want you to fill in all of us right now on some of the amazing cast members that you guys got to work with overseas. I'm thinking specifically of Isla, who plays Tali.
Yes.
She's incredible in this thing, and I want you to.
I think we have 2 actors because there's 2 different agents.
That's right.
Right.
Olivia too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was complicated because I have a daughter in real life named Olivia. So we were on set one day and they called for Olivia and both my daughters came forward. And then I looked at both their mothers and I thought, this is going to be complicated. I've got a lot of explaining to do, listen.
So that's what I lose to the show. I love these.
For some of the younger people.
John, you're saying that Isla is just incredible.
You know, I mean, they both are, but Isla had the sort of more physical role. And when I was talking to her on the Zoom audition, she told me she was a gymnast. And I remember muting the sound and going, cast her. Why? I want her to do karate. Is there a karate script? Oh, there will be. Wonderful actor.
That's fantastic.
Great actor, and also she was dying to do her own stuff.
Oh my God.
For insurance reasons, we were like, kid, take it easy. She was so on it.
Yep.
And by the way, we had a big fight sequence on the first episode.
Yep.
And she could not wait to be able to do something like, like mommy was doing. I mean, she was just like, and I looked at Michael at one point and I just said, oh my God, that's our child.
And I said, I'll be standing over there, away from the vinyl.
Calling for my son.
And there were some surprises, like Nassima.
Oh my God.
Her screen test, not screen test, we did a wardrobe test the first day of shooting, where you kind of meet the camera crew and everybody, but it's, I don't know, what would you call it, John? It was like a look?
Yeah, it was
A lookbook.
Yeah, everyone else. And by the way, normally those are like really stiff and kind of not fun as wardrobe tests. So Michael and Cody and I decided, why don't we have some like cool spy music?
Oh yes.
And so they started dancing to like the Chris spot, in the wardrobe test. And Ziva just showed, this wonderful French actor, she showed this incredible sly wit. And because she plays, this isn't really a spoiler, she's kind of a bad guy. It allowed me as a writer to say, oh, I can make her funny too.
Right. And you were also responsible for hiring James Darcy, speaking of funny.
James Darcy is a very old and good friend of mine who I've wanted to work with again. Worked together a couple years ago. And he plays Tony's best friend, one of the heads of Interpol.
The first thing he said to me was, hello, I'm James. And I said, hey, James. He goes, so we're best friends. How did that happen? And I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe we had some experiences. He's like, So, and then
Julian Ovenden.
Who...
But then, by the way, Darcy actually wanted to become Michael's best friend.
That's why I don't want to talk about it too much. He's like, don't feed the dog from the table, because you'll never be able to get them. So, but Julian and James are old friends in real life, so they
best friends
and co-workers in the show. And I mean,
the stories. Oh my God, the stories.
Trying to just get them to shut up and get in front of the camera and say, you can keep talking, just move in front of the camera. They are their best friends.
And just by chance, it wasn't planned.
I had no idea. I know James. I met Julian socially years before as well. I'm a huge fan of a show called Foyle's War that Julian was in for like 11 years. I also really want to do a big shout out to our Claudette.
Oh my God, yes.
She's also incredible. I mean,
and Lara Rossi.
Yep. These are all just names to you, but
oh my gosh, I want to meet all these people.
You're going to meet all these people.
You know what? I think it might be a good time to treat everyone to maybe to meet some of these folks. Let's get some exclusive content, like right now. You guys want